Hello and welcome everyone to a Tech Brews Games review on Aquatico. This is a new city building game still under development, and currently it is listed on Steam for $25 though. I have had the opportunity to go ahead and play this game for about 2 hours because I was playing just the free demo version, in which the demo, like I just said, right, free. Anyone can go ahead and play just 2 hours. The only downside is that when you play just the 2 hour demo, none of your gameplay will be saved. So if you intend on taking this a little bit further, then you will obviously need to purchase the game for 25 bucks if you want to unlock a lot of the buildings and all that kind of stuff. But I would indefinitely say that this game is worth checking out at the very least. If you were into city builders, just the demo version, give it a few hours. Obviously, and since we're still only on version 1.003, they do have quite some time until I think they have really gotten everything figured out on this game. So we are going to go ahead and just setting up our new colony here. In a new game, I do have another game that's going, but we are going to start fresh for you guys, and you get to select, I guess, your colony name, banner, and then colors. It's pretty basic, and then you get to choose a map. For the sake of this review, I am going to go ahead and choose just a normal difficulty map that is extremely open, lots of resources, just so we don't run into, I guess, too many hiccups during the review.
We were bound for the stars, but the stars had other plans for us. Our cities were bright. We were walking in the sunlight. And then Nimrod struck. Arriving from the stars, the asteroid obliterated our world. Radiation spread, the climate changed, and sea levels increased. The oceans were our demise, but now they're a chance for survival. Beneath the waves, we will find a new home, and you will be there to build it.
Nice little intro. Not too complicated of a story by any means. Not a whole lot of depth to it. I mean, nothing too serious. A lot of city builders, I don't think, have a lot of backstory depth to them. Obviously, you kind of write your own story as you're going ahead and building it. And being a city builder, there's not too much to it. So, kind of a similar setup, I guess, to, let's just say, like, Farthest Frontier. You have to choose your starting location, and you'll see that you have a grid system here, and everything is marked out for you. You've got ore, oil, radioactive soil, fertile soil. So starting out, and then this is all just dark abyss that you cannot build on. And the game will have like fish floating around the entire time, which is kind of cool. Nice little graphic, just a nice change of scenery, I guess, compared to other city builders. But and you'll see now, right, why I chose this map. Tons of resources. It's pretty hard to screw up, I guess, your initial setup location. And so I want to try to be, I guess, kind of centrally located here in the entire map, just so that way we don't really have to deal with running into too many issues. So I think this is going to get just about as good as it gets. And we are going to go ahead. I want to make sure that, let's see, the tutorial, is turned off for this. I will spare you guys all of the conversation talk about that. But this game, I'm going to go ahead and just pause it real quick. Like I said, a lot of fish kind of floating around. It's cool. You've got all these little, I guess, bubbles that are, right? I mean, I don't know. Makes you feel like you're underwater. General mouse controls. You can rotate the camera, different fields of view, scroll in, scroll out. capture more fish, larger fish. When you scroll in, you'll get the smaller ones. Basic UI system, though, you've got credits, food, medicine, basic goods like clothes, furniture, decorations, luxury items, anything, cider, beer, jewelry, stuff like that. Batteries are pretty important in this game, and sponges. These are all tradable goods, along the lines of kind of like currency, and some of these like clothes, basic goods, they're kind of necessities, right? Especially when it comes to building. The real necessities: electricity, crude oil, fuel, and oxygen. Without these, your citizens will eventually die off and perish. Then you have other resources like plastics, tools, iron, stone, quartz, glass, and concrete. Also, all eventually necessary, not right off the bat, but they do eventually become necessary. And then you have things like just some stuff like residents, drones. The drones you will need for harvesting goods. And then the people, obviously, population. You just want to make sure that you're watching how many residents you actually have, and kind of expanding that. And we'll dive into the details on that later. Then you got to watch the happiness and just influence points that you have on your citizens. You have a dome toggling down here, which will go over additional panels like research, logs, stocks, jobs, residents, your building overview, where it just lists basically everything that you actually can build, which I don't usually use this. Usually I like to use the little, I don't know, I guess it's just a different way of looking at the buildings down here. You could really go either way. This is the jobs board. Like I said, the building overview here, and then you got the mini map, in which pops up here in the top right corner, just so makes it a little bit easier to travel around the map if that is necessary, in which you can also pin it, just so then that way you kind of always have it up here. And then expedition map, that is way down the road. Down here, bottom right corner, domes, we have not gotten there yet, but this is where your citizens will live. Completely separate dome, in which we'll kind of go over the details on this. I try and keep these relatively close, just because eventually you will be able to connect these down the road when you need multiple different domes. You've got depots for supplies and holding material, your sponge collector oil. This is all of your production stuff, which is necessary for your citizens to live. Food production stuff, which they're kind of working on balancing this out, at least so far. And maybe I just didn't get far enough in the demo, but the balance seemed a little off. Securities, which I did not get to the point of actually needing those, so we'll be curious, or I will be certainly curious on where that goes. Infrastructure, and then you can tell your drone citizens, people, to mine stuff, in which we are actually going to go ahead and start there. So things that you'll need: plastic and iron right off the bat. You will eventually have factories that'll build all this stuff for you, but until then, you need sponges, plastic, and iron in order to build stuff. So the drones will go ahead and collect all this stuff, and we're just going to kind of pick up, I guess, generally everything kind of whatever in a close proximity, and you will notice how quickly these guys get to work. So some of the very first things we are going to need: sponge collector, oil, fuel, and plastics to get the basics going before we can even build our dome. Now, similar to city skylines, I want to kind of look at the surrounding area, and you will want to kind of mark out, I guess, how you intend on developing your land. So I want the domes in close proximity of our base here, because eventually I'll build a security system around there. I'm assuming that that's the majority of stuff that'll get attacked. I don't know yet, so we will find out. But then I was thinking, and based on the map here, We've got good fertility, and then we have a decent amount, and in order to see the grid, you have to just highlight this guy. But good amount of crude oil over here, good fertility over here, and then we'll need also some ore, in which ore is kind of scattered throughout here and here. So my thoughts are farm and food over here. We'll do the majority of our mining all over here. We can do some other processing and I think sponge farms down here while the food is over here. And then we'll do some more just like basic like power supplies and stuff like that out here. So distance between the buildings and your main building. I have not found that there's too much of a deal, that the citizens don't really care that much. So you can place this stuff pretty far away. The oil, obviously, we want to make sure that we're hitting our max. We're gonna stick to the plan and keeping it over here and just put it as close as we possibly can. And one thing in that infrastructure, and if you guys saw, there's the pipes that you have to build. And that will come in handy here when we go and start building some of this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead, unpause the game. Eventually, this has to connect to the main building. And you will see that building these pipes, notice how it costs credits and plastic. This is why you almost immediately need to start collecting plastics, because you will kind of hose yourself if you do not do this. So I am preemptively trying to build this pipe and keep it as tight as I can to those rocks. And we're just going to build this over here so in that way it's a little bit closer to our main infrastructure. We will need... Oh, we already have some new people have arrived to the colony. New Atlantis HQ has sent them to assist with our daily tasks. Thank you, Atlantis headquarters. How generous of you to send people off to their death. We need... Well, hopefully not, but, you know, you never know. We could royally screw this whole thing up. So we will need... I'm going to try to position this, because I never, in the demo, did find out exactly how far away I need to build it to be able to fit 4 domes all kind of tight. So we're going to... That looks good. Yeah, that'll be close enough. We'll put our dome there. We will need a depot to be able to immediately start collecting and harvesting goods, in which we will want this, for the most part, pretty close by to our headquarters here. We built the sponge collector, or it's at least being worked on here soon. We'll go ahead and there's a little icon here in which you can change it to either be in build process or construction priority. Of course, the second I clicked that while someone was working on it, that stopped the production. Something that the developers could probably use there. Go ahead and fix. But, there we go. So, once you do this, we're going to slow this down. Alright, so citizens are complaining about being homeless. The dome will take care of that when that finishes. No carrier drone built. So this is in relationship to the jobs tab. When you build a new building, you have to come in here and assign drones. You'll notice that you have idle workers, which they are doing these jobs right here. And then you have, or sorry, I guess idle workers are the people, and they're doing all of this stuff right here. Everything from drone producer down to on expedition and all of these columns. Drones are doing all of these jobs down here. So everything we just built, drone, it all needed to be done. You can click this button to automatically assign the workforce, so you do not need to manage this anymore. So this will automatically assign drones to everything. Now, as you're playing the game, one thing that I would recommend is that if you are going to automatically assign a workforce, that you should at least open up this panel every, call it 5 to 10 minutes, because you really need to keep an eye on how many workers you actually have left. Similar to Farthest Frontier, you have to keep a close eye on how many I guess workforce people, open workforce people you have. Because if this drops to 0, then what you're going to do is get rid of all the people that had the capabilities or the time to go and collect like that plastic, those sponges, and sometimes you will need this. If you have a break in your pipeline here, or if you end up, let's just say, you weren't paying attention to the balance, for instance, like crude oil, right? We're producing 120, requirement 0. If that balance of plus 120 drops below 0, trust me, it is incredibly hard to get it back up. And you guys will eventually see how important it is to keep track of that stuff. So, okay, so enough about that. Fuel refinery, sorry. This building can be dropped on top of a radioactive area, which is good. We want to keep this close to the pipeline because that will be necessary. But I want to also make sure that I don't interrupt our fuel grid over here. So in the efforts of keeping it clean, where we've got fuels and resources, right, farming, mining, all that stuff, we will just put this along the pipeline, and easy enough, one connection just right there. Drop one little pipe. And the name of the game when it comes to the pipe designs is you want this as, I guess, as short as possible. Any and all pipelines. The more pipelines you have and the more connections that you could possibly have, the more opportunity there is for breaks in the line. And you do have to fix them, and you do have to pay attention to them. If there is a break in the line, let's just say in the coupling right here, then you will see my crude oil and my fuel production absolutely plummet. And the people will slowly run out of resources. They'll run out of crude oil, they'll run out of fuel. So you do have to pay attention to that. Now, the game does give you a pretty good heads up that's happening. And then a notification will come up, and then you can even go and fix it. So that's one thing just to keep an eye on. Now, I know that this is a pretty long run, but we plan on building a pretty big city, and I think eventually the pipeline distribution and having long runs will be inevitable. So, all right, now to take care of the notification up here. No houses for people. These people are complaining, and it is now May. We're going to change this over. You can click this to change it over to Fahrenheit if you'd like. So we have 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm weather, right? For the most part, under the ocean, I guess. But they need houses. So we are going to go ahead. You can either push tab or click on this guy to go into our global dome. Now, people will need houses. And one thing to keep an eye on is that this game expects you, again, I'm going to relate this back to Farthest Frontier. The game expects you to have a house per family, which makes sense because you don't want families stacked on top of each other. So this is saying we only need, technically, across 4 adults, we only have 2 families, right? Husband, wife. We are going to preemptively expand this out further than that, though. You can push R to rotate the homes, knowing that these families will expand and they will, and we'll get people that'll migrate here and whatever. Now, I know that this just cost me, it's only 10 credits, 10 plastics, right? And we've got 1,800 and 286. So, personally, really not all that worried about building additional homes right off the bat. Just so then that way we don't have to worry about this. And I would say 6 homes right off the bat is a pretty good start. Now you will notice though, this is the only downside of it, is you immediately, and let's go ahead and pause this. Immediately the fuel consumption, and the oxygen, right? It's immediate action. The people don't have to come up here and start living in it or set up. The second that the home is built, you need oxygen and fuel. So we'll come back down here. Obviously, fuel, we have that in production, but we need plastics. This is why you need to make sure that at all times you have idle workers, because we don't have a plastics farm yet. So those guys are going to go collect plastic. So we will unpause this and let them go collect it. Here's some more plastic over here. Plastics are, you know it's plastic because it's just the, oh, and that's actually, I lied. That is actually stone, which is very similar. Plastics is this, it's white and black, right? A little deceiving, I guess, when you're actually zoomed out there, and I thought that that was plastic. So we are going to go ahead and cancel the gathering of that so they can focus on plastics. In reality, I could just select this guy to make sure that I don't select anything else but plastics. Like, that's plastic. So we'll have them go and work on that. And then the next thing that they need while the fuel's being built, they need a oxygen bar, in which that is listed under, it's not under food. Where is it? Oh, research oxygen units. So actually, good time to pause. So we need to research the oxygen generator here. So this, and as I scroll, you will see that the upgrade or the research tab is pretty extensive. And by the time you get to the very end, right, subsurface base, 2,000 credits. It also gets incredibly expensive. Not only is it long, but it's expensive. Now, one thing that, if there's a developer watching, one thing that I really, really wish you had was being able to click on this, and this, and create a queue for research. Because right now, I can only click on one. I can't click on anything else. I can't queue anything up. And when you put the game in full speed, this goes by in less than 10 seconds. So there are times, like now, where I could very easily sit here and just spend all of my time, rather than enjoying the game, enjoying the beautiful scenery and the fish and all of my people and family and whatever. I'm just sitting here clicking on upgrades for a minute because I can't queue these things up. But I desperately needed a tidal turbine, an oxygen generator, and a battery factory, and now fuel refining in proximity of the oil platform gains 10%, in which we will go and talk about that. So, ooh, new wave of drones. Ooh, to do more jobs, because we weren't really running out, but that's always good to have. You will know that when you click on, for instance, your oil here, this circle, I had this guy just inside, so it should be receiving a 10% bonus. And whether or not that actually shows up in the efficiency here, I do not know. So we are actually going to go ahead, little fun feature, you can customize the buildings here. We're going to go ahead and give this a little Tech Brews Games coloring here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Some black blues, light blues, and then we're gonna just apply that to all buildings everywhere, Perfect. Got to get that that TBG refinery going, you know? Okay. So now that we've got fuel, we've got all that other stuff, right? The people needed oxygen. This is another thing that requires the pipeline. It doesn't necessarily need to be in close proximity to anything. It's literally just an oxygen plant. It's going to take up electricity, and I guess in terms of location across the base, right? If we're mining stuff down here, food, oil, I don't really want oxygen next to an oil plant and everything. So I think this is one of those things where if we have solar and oxygen up here, that is going to just feel a little bit better and cleaner. So I know from the demo that, in playing the demo, that you end up having a lot of solar plants and a lot of oxygen plants. So, oopsies, went one too far. So we're gonna wrap this guy around, connect it there. So giving yourself plenty of room for more oxygen, and depending on, I guess, how clean you want to keep it, right? We're gonna have a lot of stuff and fill in around our base. We're gonna have a lot of, it's kind of weird that they put, people are running out of breathable air and the symbol is a heart. Like they're falling in love with dying right now. I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you love that? I don't get it. So you will end up filling in a lot of gaps around your base here, so it's okay to spread things out. You know, you'll have, I mean, you guys saw the production here, right? Tons of solar farms. There's uranium, there's iron mining, there's tool factories and furniture factories and decoration factories and nuclear plants and concrete and the public works stuff, trade depots, expedition houses, rescue houses, warehouses. That's all the stuff I want to fill in close to the base here. So, it's okay to separate everything out. Okay, so we are now needing electricity. We are producing nothing. We need a lot. It's August. Things are starting to get cold. The oxygen plant is not working because it needs electricity. We have a decent amount of crude oil going and a decent amount of fuel. So we will now focus on a tidal turbine. This is something that will be incredibly important because the next upgrade for power, you can upgrade your energy production down the road, but the actual solar upgrade, I was not able to get to it, and I know that here, solar plant, it's pretty far down the line. And again, these upgrades do not benefit us at all. You have to sit in that tab a lot and just sit there and watch it forever. Incredibly annoying for whatever reason. So, not that it's that big of a deal, but so we are going to go ahead and eventually we can start demo buildings in this game. You can't move them and relocate them, which would be a really nice, so you can demo pipelines. Oh no, actually, you know what? Maybe you can't demo buildings. I thought you could. Cancel gathering and demo just pipelines. So I guess you can't demo buildings. Unless that is something that you have to unlock later. So we do need to be very cautious and careful with where we place things. So we are going to create, this is just going to be a big power field. I don't care about the fertile areas here. So we'll just need to be careful not to go too far into this area, as we know that we will need to be mining that. So we will kind of create, I guess, I'm just starting, we'll just start right here. want to make this kind of even and go right along this line here. So we will create 2 turbines, and you do need to also connect these to a pipeline, in which, well, shit, I should have moved those, and now I can't. Wait. No. No. Pause, forward. Okay, whatever. We'll deal with it until we figure it out later. We do need to connect these to the pipeline. We are going to build this out as short as possible and keep it as tight as possible. I like how it allowed me to build a post right in front of the entrance to the oxygen bar here. And then just to keep things clean, cancel that guy. We actually had, go ahead and unpause this, let the game run. Yep, we had one more that we accidentally built there. All right, so this, now we're gonna go ahead and let this run. We put those as high priority. Make sure that we can get power going. We're gonna go ahead, highlight a few more resources around here. Make sure that we keep up on those goods. Sponges are fine. Once electricity is going, the oxygen will kick in, and then people will be fine. Eventually we will need, it looks like, a drone factory. Not right now, we should still be okay. My biggest concern, though, is just collecting some resources for those idle drones. So then that way they are not just floating around the base being bored out of their minds. Alright, so new additional people have arrived to help us with our daily tasks, and that is exactly why I wanted to build out just a boatload of homes, because now that's 5 families in our 6 homes. So that's only 1 empty household now. We are already at the point of potentially needing more homes. There is a second home size, so it can fit just a bigger family, but it's still only 1 family. And then the house just kind of continues to go up. They all look different, so it's almost like you could create, if you really wanted to, do I dare call it, like, poverty levels, really? And eventually we do want to add some decorations in here, so we are going to separate out those homes just a little bit, but build some new ones. And now headquarters is sending us some plastic, sending us some resources. So there we go. They're being so kind, so polite in the good fight to expand humanity here. Okay, so a plastic farm. We are almost at the point of needing that. The battery farm, though, might be a little, well, I guess not too much more important, because we need to get that drone factory up and going. So, plastic factory is another thing that will be needed along the pipeline, and I would like to keep it somewhere over here in this general area. So if we're doing oil here, fuel will kind of, whatever, be kind of throughout here. So the plastics, I think we're just going to line across this back wall right here. And we will try to keep this kind of in line, I guess, with where the fertility levels or the fertile soils are at. Right about here seems good. And the real thing is, once you get these, and a little tip here, when you're laying down some pipe, no pun intended, push G to activate the grid so you can actually see the entire grid, so you can then line up, like if you're trying to be precise and line up the pipe with the end of the building, impossible when you don't have the grid on. Another feature that would be really nice, I do wish when I was coming in to lay down some pipe that the game would automatically activate the grid. So I can just line it up and my OCD does not have to continuously be thinking about that. The game will just do that for us, right? So, okay, sponges. Monthly produced 52, monthly used 0. Perfect. Batteries. Drone consumption 17, monthly produced 0, monthly used 15. So that is going to become a problem. So, batteries need to get going. We've got, right, our plastic bar up here. And we will push R and face the our battery factory to be facing the plastics. So these will just be, this is a dangerous part of town. You want to stay away from this. This is just a nasty part of town that is just full of fucking plastic batteries, oil, fuel. Eventually this radiation, I'm assuming the nuclear power plants have to go on top of there, so this is just a death valley over here in the city of TBG, you know, all while our little sponge farm down here is just operated by drones. We can have idle workers and people operating the real nasty parts of town. That's not true. I guess it's actually drones that operate this, but... Alright. So we're going to slow things down for a second and realize that we need food stocks, low space on storage because this puppy is full, in which we will get to that here in just a second. Well, we can go ahead and upgrade that, actually. Take care of that immediately. Now, on to food production. So, gathering and fisherman hubs. Gathering is just going to be collecting resources across the bed, the ocean floor, I guess you could call it. So we are going to go ahead and slap one of those guys down right there, and then we will have a fisherman's hub in... Oh, and I guess we could actually just put this probably right across the way here. And I think kind of keep this theme of having like aisles, right? Aisles, and then this will become an aisle, and then this will have an aisle. And keep that theme going, and we will do it where we have a spacing of 5, because eventually, oopsies. Eventually we can put, I think I know, we can put indefinitely decorations down on, let's prioritize these bad boys. I know that we can eventually put decorations down inside of our domes, in which now we got to go back to our research banner and pick back up on this guy as those buildings keep going. Some extra credits. Thank you, headquarters. This game is very generous when it comes to the headquarters. I don't know if they just see that they look at me and just kind of chuckle and say, man, that guy has no idea what the hell he's doing. Oh, and let's pause the game here real quick. Alright, production 99, requirement 97. The second I build these, that is going to spike through the roof. It is incredibly important to monitor this. So, one thing, because we don't want to just go and keep building more and more of these. So, one thing that you can do to combat stuff like this, you can either upgrade buildings in the optimization, because for instance, right, this is just saying it needs electricity and plastic, so maybe this building's not a great example. This one, plastics factory though, we can upgrade the optimization to drop the fuel consumption. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Boom. Now we're already at 7. Alright. Now, we'll do a little production boost. Boom, now we're at 25. So, do not feel like you have to go and just start building more and more buildings, right? Do yourself a favor and upgrade the buildings that you have in place and just optimize them. That's all you got to do. So I would say, similar to checking on your jobs list for idle workers and idle drones, just check on your balances every now and then to make sure that you are not about to just royally screw yourself over. And especially the second you build a new building, realize what it's consuming and check those levels. So for instance, this is only consuming sponges. That is the upkeep in order to produce food here. So if we are producing 39 sponges, we're using 15 a month. But this is, and that's 100 a year, so we should be okay right now. Just to be on the safe side, though, we will go ahead and increase the production bonus just because, and we'll increase the build radius. Just to be on the safe side, right? So, we are, I think, looking pretty good. Let's go back. We need to, I think, apply our paint job again. Notice that some of these buildings did not accept the paint job. Because now, yeah, yep. Now everything's looking better. Okay, so food is still considered insufficient. Food tier variety is no bueno. So, we need, let's see. And by the way, drones do go bad. So, it is very important to keep an eye on your drone factories and make sure that I made a big mistake and I built these very late. And when you completely run out of drones, let me tell you, that is a world of hurt. Do not forget the drones. So, let's see here. If we have energy, oxygen, crappy part of town, Death Valley, and then we're just doing sponges and collecting stuff down here. I guess it probably makes the most sense to put drones over here, kind of the nastier part of town. And we do want these, I guess, kind of relatively close. These do need the pipeline, right? So, and it probably would make more sense to have these kind of relatively close to our main base. Because of the fact that they're going to be used so much. So, nice small connection right there. Oopsies. Prioritize this guy. And make sure that our drone production is good. And then we need to solve this issue with the food. So, we are going to go ahead and just upgrade all of our food production all of the way. So this should create quite a bit of small fish, quite a bit more of different seafoods, increased expansion, the expansive slots so we can get additional workers going. Because of the fact that we have additional idle workers, check on our citizens. We've got people hanging out, walking around. That's beautiful. We have not unlocked anything like fast food, a clothes shop. Excuse me. Only some banners, which people, I'm sure, would greatly appreciate in beautifying their city. Oh, and do not put banners too close to each other, because they will cancel each other out. That's very good to know. So we will put a banner over here and a banner over here. And it looks like, depending on where you have it, you notice that the balance in total does actually change. So depending on where you place these actually really does matter. So we will go back to our research tab and make sure that we upgrade just a few things. And while that is going, come back and look at that. We already have a problem with electricity, which that will kill our oxygen. It'll kill off plastics, drones, everything else. So do as I say, not as I do. And like I said, and definitely check when you build a new building what you just consumed. Now, this is the beautiful part of being able to just upgrade when you're in a tight spot like that. Upgrade really quickly, and you can do it while paused to make sure that you don't run into a bigger issue. But if you do that and you max out your upgrades where then you can't upgrade anymore, I would recommend that you immediately build a new one that then you can upgrade to keep yourself out of that, I guess, kind of tight situation, right? So, okay. This is telling us, out of all the buildings we have, what we have, what's going, how many upgrades it has. So it's telling me if there's something that I could upgrade more of. The everything is labeled up here, where we've got quartz mines, so mining stuff or production stuff, I believe is the concept. And where, right, public is white and green, it's either that or, right, food is all green, security, that's all white. Production, though, this is kind of mixed. It's either that or I don't know if this is more of like a need kind of thing, or it has to do with maybe upgrades. I don't know. It'd be nice if there's a little more explanation on that, I guess. So we will find out. Another thing you do actually have to keep an eye on is your capacity on your stocks. So eventually, we will get to having a trade depot. And when you get to the point of having a trade depot right here, then you can collect or take all of your additional goods that you have and actually sell them off for additional credits. And I will say, I'm going to go ahead and max this out just because we're still sitting on a good amount of credits, and I don't feel like we really need it. But eventually, though, trading goods becomes a huge part of the game, and your credits will die out. So I can comfortably say that racing, almost racing to that trade depot is kind of important in a sense. Getting some of your food production up and running quickly and doing it where food is in a great abundance becomes, oopsies, incredibly important. And where food production, obviously, I mean, it makes sense, right? That is one thing that you do not want to fuck with and be low on. All right, now we got those connected. We're putting the Sea Hunter's Lodge over there, and now we also have underwater farms. And this is what I was really kind of wanting, because I know that these can be similar to, I mean, right, makes sense. Similar to the farms, I guess, and again, gonna relate back to, wait, why is that? That doesn't make any sense. There we go. Okay, now it's the same size. To the farms in, like, farthest frontier. You can have a rotation of crops. Now, it's not as crazy strict, where depending on the what time of year it is will determine how productive these things are. They will just kind of rotate for you. So, let's see. We just did oxygen. We are running low on oxygen. That is no bueno. Increase optimization and production. And get that puppy back up. And immediately build another oxygen bar. Go ahead, connect this guy up. And there we go. All right. So yeah, the crops themselves, they will rotate. I don't think at least I haven't noticed. I don't think the seasons really matter all that much. So, but that is going to take this food and food variety and absolutely skyrocket it. So, right now, the difference in seafood, depending on the season and what they're collecting, we've got that. We now have this producing small fish. We now have this producing shark. And these bad boys will eventually produce, I think it was seaweed and cucumbers right off the bat. So we've got a good rotation now, and I would say this is a great start in producing all of this stuff. We're going to pause this, make sure that I really want to get a clothes shop going just to help the happiness and the influence points, even though we don't really need it. The taxes really doesn't do much in this game, to be honest, at least from what I noticed, so not too concerned about that. We're going to pause this, or sorry, slow down the speed, just to add in our rotation. So we will do seaweed, cucumbers, and then I think eventually you'll have more options here. So we're just doing the seaweed and cucumbers here. We're going to do it vice versa. Cucumbers and seaweed. And you'll see that efficiency and fertility. This one, just because I think I thought we had one corner, so I guess I don't really know why that. It's probably because the base is not sitting on a green patch, which is a little odd. You'd think that it would only matter about the field. So, not a big deal though, 99%. We can certainly live with that, I think. So, alright, so we will let this clothes shop go. Let's check on our resources. Insufficient on variety needs, which we are working on that right now. Medicine we don't need yet. Basic goods and luxuries we don't need yet. Batteries, though, monthly produced over monthly used. We are not doing so hot on that because of our drone consumption. Even though we are up on that. That also could relate to, though, how much we've used is related to the buildings that we have been doing. But we haven't upgraded anything here, so we'll go ahead, upgrade those. That should go ahead and balance things out and add one person while we're here. Oh, sent us some more plastic. While we're here, go ahead and upgrade our plastics factory. And we're doing really good on that. And we'll go ahead and do the property taxes so we can show you guys that. Eventually, though, fuel. Raggy. That is because our efficiency is way, way down. Alright, so that is good again, but what's not good is now we have maxed that puppy out. So, we are already in need of another one. Rotate that guy around and connect her up. We're just going to connect those right there. Nice and easy connection. And then crude oil, I can say honestly, this seems to just go forever. At least when and even just whatever, upgrade it. We've got the money right now. And now we've got taxes coming in, and we are now at this point. Once those property taxes hit, I'm going to make a mad dash for the trade port to start getting some credits in. For the oil platform, you see the work efficiency above or sitting right below the title for oil platform. I don't know if that interacts with the other oil platform sitting over here. It drops when I take it out of this area, and I don't know yet if this is consuming the resources in the ground and they will actually deplenish. So I guess we're gonna do a little test run here and slap another one down right next to it, even though we probably won't need this for a little while, to be completely honest. And we're going to elbow this guy out, over, and down. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work. And so once those two buildings are made, I think we will be sitting really good. Our plastics are through the roof. Iron we need to go out and collect. This will become an issue down the road, along with stone. So we need to focus on that. Our drone production is good. Oh, and we have our first break. So the game slows itself down. You'll see that immediately fuel tanked, right? And then an alert comes up saying that you've got a pipe. Now, it's as easy as click on it and repair socket. That's it. That's all you got to do. Why that's even a feature in the game and it seems almost so easy to fix and do, it just seems kind of crazy considering how it's a cool feature. It just also feels like it could be maybe more cumbersome. Like you need to maybe make it a little bit more of a challenge. Add in, maybe there needs to be like a maintenance post. Like you have to build a maintenance post in order to actually repair a pipeline like that. And don't let it just be able to be fixed immediately. Make it where we have to think ahead and, you know, identify if this comes up, what's my backup plan? You know, not just the game pauses pretty much and you go click, repair, boom, and it's done. Because that almost just feels too easy, right? Food for thought, though. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Just almost feels like it's pointless. So at this point right now, we are just going around highlighting all of our resources around the map because we have a lot of idle drones and workers. No oil rig drone. That's interesting. Even though we've got plenty of drones sitting around doing nothing. And that might be because I just sent them all out to go harvest a bunch of resources. But this is... Whoa. Actually not fine. Because... How did that happen? Well, that's odd. I only built that one building. But then the fuel consumption... Oh. No? It's not heading into winter. I wonder... Well, we will just go back through, cancel some of these collections that I did, and see if this forces a drone back into that work area. Because maybe that was a mistake in highlighting all of that. So we are going to go ahead, speed things up. Let's see, I didn't have anything over there. Low number of idle drones. See, so this is another problem, right? That's why I was saying very important to make sure that your drone production stays high, because the drones do get used, and if you don't have, like, look at that, I don't know how that happened, considering I just canceled all of the harvesting. Maybe actually, you know what, I think when I selected all that stuff to harvest, I think it purposely pulled drones off of their jobs, and now we don't have a whole lot. So good lesson learned, I guess, there on the episode. It's good to not only keep your drone factories high, and where I should have learned this from the last time when I did this. When I played the demo, I ran into the same issue, and I abused the drones. I did not have a high enough drone production and ran into a very similar issue. And it almost kind of cornered me a little bit. All right, so subsurface base. Now that we can do taxes, you click on your base, click on add directive. Now, right? Credits per house. You get 1 per week. It uses one of your influencer points, and we will collect 52 credits a year for what we have right now. And so you only have so many influence points, right? So these are it. I have a maximum of 3, and I only have 2 more available that I can fill in these slots. And eventually I can fill this whole thing up. And there's tons of these things, right? Transportation, immigration, unions, drones, engineering, society, school, public stuff. So, oh, new people have arrived, and I'm gonna go ahead and guess that I do not have... No, actually, I think I have just enough buildings. Oh, and we actually forgot we had built the clothing store. So we should go ahead and build that to entertain our folks. Oopsies. We'll continue for the rush towards the trade depot, and once we unlock that trade depot and build it, I'll show you guys the trade depot, and then that is probably where we'll end the episode. So, this guy, 160 credits in order to run it, plus power and plastics. This guy is a heavy electrical consumer. So you got to be very careful with that, because this can shut down everything else. And I know we still need to upgrade that other one, but I can already tell you right now from my past experience, we will need more of these guys. And this is why I was so hellbent on having a entire turbine solar farm, or turbine, what is this, tidal farm? Yeah, tidal turbine farm. Because I know that you need so freaking many of these at the beginning of the game here, until I never got to the point of unlocking the solar farm, but it says that it produces 240 per unit compared to 80. So that is going to be a huge upgrade for us. And luckily these things, you can go ahead and build these guys all facing each other. Even though the game says that there should be an entrance for them, technically, I haven't noticed any issues yet, so I don't know. I'm just gonna build them as is, right? And then we'll connect these bad boys up. I want to be super net positive on these, knowing that I do have the resources. If we can build it, they will come. Oopsies. Why? There we go. I wanted to get rid of that little corner that was bugging me. I don't really like that either, though. Damn it. OCD. There we go. That's what I wanted. Wait, is this one not hooked up? Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that's what I deleted. That's why. That's why that was like that. Okay. Having a moment. Alright. So this will eventually get production back up. Food is dropping, though. So we need more gathering, more food, more everything. We shall build a second gathering hut. Another fisherman's hut. And make sure that's upgraded. This is not upgraded, so we can do that. It's not too many credits and plastics, in which our plastics are starting to tip. I noticed that. Our sponges are right on the brink. So it's probably about time to fully upgrade that bad boy. And I would say, it's about time to build another one. And so you'll see these do produce sponges. I have been trying to keep where the edge of the sponges are being built. I am trying to keep these guys aligned, the buildings aligned with each other, and build this just on the brink of where the other building is producing those. And I don't want, I keep accidentally right-clicking this, I don't want the circles to overlap the other building either by too much, because this building doesn't need a building or collection area sitting as part, is this building being part of it. And I know that this building will expand enough to where if I build this just on the outside of that circle, then I should be able to maximize their efficiency, because I believe the seabed also produces its own sponges consistently. And I want both of these buildings to be collecting as much as they possibly can without them overlapping each other too much. Not that it's a crazy, and at least I think this is the right way to go. I could be completely wrong. Post in the comments down below what you guys think. If you've found so far some of this stuff pretty helpful, or if you have any tips, if you play this game, if you're enjoying it so far, definitely let me know down in the comments down below. But I think that that's going to be the way to go for the sponges. So, all right, checks and balances here. Let's go ahead, research our trade depot now. Finally, jobs, see idle drones. It's low, still low. These drone factories just could not produce enough, quick enough. It does take some time. The next drone production, 36 days or 37 days. Next one, 5 days. So these things are kind of slow. You really do need to keep a close eye on it. And I'm glad that we're at the point of now having a trade depot, because we have really thoroughly burnt through our credits. So this is good that we should have our trade depot here in just a couple of seconds. And one thing that we are going to be focusing on the next episode is trying to get ahead of ourselves on these drones, because clearly 2 of the factories is not enough to keep our idle drones high enough. So far, our electricity is through the roof now with our little solar farm, which is good. And we're not even done building yet, nor have we upgraded everything. Crude oil is way ahead because of our second pipeline. And from what I'm seeing, I don't think this is pulling back at all. I think the resources are staying where they're at. We'll have to check on that next episode. Fuel is way ahead. Oxygen is way ahead, which is good, and we haven't even upgraded that all the way. We will probably, at the very least, and what we should do is make sure that all of our buildings are, at the very least, upgraded for optimization all the way, just to help conserve as many resources as possible. I know that, let's see, we do need to upgrade this guy. Be careful not to burn too many credits, because we do want to build, boom, trade depot. And we are going to keep this very centrally located right next to our base, because we will need to be keeping a very, very close eye on that. And we will go ahead and prioritize this so we can jump straight into that. These are producing. That will help a lot, because this is our first season, at least. Oh no, looks like we did actually produce a little bit of seaweed and sea cucumber so far. And so one thing for this food tab, let me explain this real quick, because this was something that I did not understand until I guess I kind of looked at it, even though it is self-explanatory. There's 3 numbers to every piece of food. You see on small fish, I've got 9, 24, and 24, or sea cucumbers, 151, 154, and 40. This tab does not break down like all the other tabs. This is not saying like this, a balance plus 448. Super easy to read, right? Sponges, monthly produced 30, monthly used 31. So we got to go upgrade that. Right? Food tab does not break down like that. This is saying the sea cucumbers, I have a quantity of 139. I am producing 0 right now, but I'm using 27 a month. Small fish, right? Quantity 20, monthly produced 37, monthly used 32. So my small fish were net positive. You have to just break down the math on this. I would love it if there was maybe just at the very top where it says food tier 320. I know that I'm net positive 320 right now, but I don't know if my monthly produced, oh, new people. This is going to force me to build a new dome here in the next episode. So one thing, and we'll go ahead and actually pause this. And of course, right, no gathering drone. That's an issue. We're going to upgrade big baskets and just crank up our food production here. And do that. So I wish that this actually had something that told me specifically that my monthly produced is no matter what higher than my monthly used. And I'm assuming they aren't doing that because they want me to pay attention to what I'm producing and what I'm not producing, what I need more of. Because I'm assuming that the people, and I haven't gotten this far, but that our citizens might be a little picky in what they actually eat, and that we want to have a good variety. I know that in that this just says variety 2 because I've got just right fish mussels and whatever. But I don't know if in total I'm actually net positive, and they want you to look at the individual numbers, and it's fine. We can figure that out. So trade depot's going. We do need more houses. Our clothes shop is going good. We should optimize that. We will need tools here, so we will need to also eventually push for the tool factory here, and then I think we're going to come back, kind of fill in the gap here for anything in green here. This is like right, higher rates of food gathering, higher rates of energy production, all this kind of stuff. You do have to balance that out a little bit. And then I do want to come back, purchase some street lamps, decorative plants, just because eventually the happiness will go down if we do not concentrate on that. We're going to do that, expand our drones a little bit more, figure that whole process out, making sure that we can pump those idle drone series out, because right now we have no trade port drones. And so now that we have this built, once I get this up and running, I will show you guys with the trade depot how you can trade goods, how to concentrate on that, how that works, how to get your credits up, so you can be a money-making machine, be financially free in this game. And one thing, oddly enough, you can't technically buy financial freedom in this game. But that is something that we will have to just take a look at. And another thing that we are going to have to look at, I guess, is... There we go. Just enough distance. The plan is to spread these guys out. We'll build another one right here down the road, and then we'll probably build another one somewhere right in here, because we do have to space them out just enough to get some rails, some cart rails in between these guys, in which I don't remember where I saw them, but anyways. So if you guys liked this little review, this episode. This is a great game. If you ask me, it's very tedious. There's a lot of little cumbersome stuff like the job boards, making sure that you have a lot of resources balanced within your city, that you're consistently monitoring happiness and drones and people and plastics and even just simple things like the happiness of your people. Having lamps, having plants, having shops, stuff for them to go and do so they don't get bored down here. Do they have enough room? Can we build bigger ones? Can they truly live underwater, be happy? And can we clean up the sea floor in both a good way of cleaning up plastics and in a bad way and destroying slowly all of the life down here and sponges and ruin someone else's habitat, you know? No, I'm just kidding. But it's a fun game. Graphics are good. It is kind of just another city builder, with a twist of it being underwater. And I think it's cool though. It's entertaining, and for this being a $25 game, I could easily see myself playing this for, I don't know, whatever, 30, 40 hours potentially. And with this still being in the beginning stages and them having more stuff to expand on across all of this, being able to add more buildings, being able to add probably more security, and if they eventually build some sort of online system where this could almost be like maybe a mini StarCraft, and where we can start building armies, potentially having like underwater fights with submarines and characters. That would be awesome, man. And have, it's kind of like a slower play thing, maybe like a Civilization game where it's like turn-based, and building up a base, building an army, and then you and your friends can go and either battle each other or gang up on other people. I think would be awesome. But this game, in my eyes, has a lot of potential. I think it has a lot of potential. I think that it could go very far. And even the graphics themselves, these graphics are awesome. Look at these buildings, right? They've got growth from being under the ocean on them, which is a great little detail. You can see almost like wear and tear on them, as if they've been down here for a while and they're collecting, almost, I guess, like stains within the paint job. So the graphics are good, and in all honesty, I think that they could go a little bit further with them. Looks like this guy, right, lives there, collecting stuff there, whatever. You can check out his happiness. His house could use a little work, but just the detail, the overall level of the game, and just little things like this, right, in indoor areas, they could, in these windows, open these up and create little rooms in here, and I think they could even take it further. And with this game being in early development stages, this is stuff that they may eventually do, if more people actually buy the game, which I would love to see, because again, I've thoroughly enjoyed the game. I think it's a lot of fun. So if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe, and otherwise we will see you guys on the next episode. Be sure to check out the podcast if you haven't already. We're also on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and many more. We'll check you guys out soon. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.